What if I told you one man conquered most of Europe, defeated kingdom after kingdom, crowned himself emperor, and then lost it all because he thought he could conquer winter? Today's receipt belongs to one of history's most famous rulers, Napoleon Bonaparte. Let's see what happened next in his story.
I am Napoleon Bonaparte. I crown myself emperor, not king, not president. Emperor. For a time, I was the most powerful man in Europe. Kings feared me, generals studied me, and entire nations trembled when they heard my name. But I wasn't born into greatness. I wasn't even born in France. I was born on the island of Corsica in 1769, and many French people looked down on me because of it. I spoke French with an accent. I was awkward, and I quickly learned that France was not eager to welcome a Corsican boy, poor compared to many of my classmates, and often treated like an outsider. But while others laughed, I studied history, war, leadership. I read about Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, Hannibal. I wanted to be remembered like they were. And one day, I would be. Then France exploded. The French Revolution changed everything. The king lost power. The old system collapsed. And suddenly, noble birth mattered less than talent. For someone like me, that was an opportunity. I rose quickly through the military. At 24 years old, I helped crush a rebellion in Paris. Soon, people began talking about a young officer who seemed to win every battle. My reputation grew, my influence grew, and so did my ambition. I looked at the leaders running France and saw weakness, confusion, chaos. I believed France needed someone stronger, someone smarter, someone like me. My first great command came in Italy. My soldiers were hungry, poorly equipped, outnumbered. Many expected us to fail. Instead, we won. Again and again and again. I moved faster than my enemies, attacked where they were weakest, and refused to fight on their terms. Europe was shocked. How was this young Corsican defeating armies larger than his own? The answer was simple. While my enemies followed old rules, I was writing new ones. Victory made me famous. Fame made me powerful. And power opened doors. Soon, I wasn't just a general. I was becoming a national hero. In 1799, I seized control of France. A few years later, I became emperor, and when the time came for my coronation, I did something no one expected. I took the crown and placed it on my own head. The message was clear. I answered to no king, no pope, no dynasty, only myself. Over the next decade, I built an empire stretching across Europe, Austria, Prussia, Italy. Much of the continent felt my influence. But I wasn't only fighting wars, I was changing laws. My Napoleonic Code introduced ideas that still influence legal systems today. Equality before the law, property rights, religious freedom. Long after my armies disappeared, those ideas remained. That's one of my greatest receipts. By 1810, it seemed unstoppable. I had defeated coalition after coalition. Europe watched nervously. But that is when success became dangerous. Success can convince you that you cannot fail. I began believing I could solve every problem, win every war. History has humbled many leaders. I was next. In 1812, I invaded Russia. More than 500,000 soldiers marched with me. It was the largest army. I reached the city I wanted, but there was nothing left to conquer. Then winter arrived, cold, starvation, disease. The enemy I could not defeat, my army collapsed. Even Moscow burned. Thousands froze where they stood. Thousands more never made it home. For the first time, Europe saw something it had not seen in years. For the first time, the world saw me lose. Napoleon could lose. My enemies united. They defeated me and sent me into exile. Most stories end there. Mine did not. I escaped, returned to France, and reclaimed power for 100 days. The greatest comeback of my life, but also my last. In 1815, I faced my enemies at Waterloo. Everything depended on that battle, everything. And this time, I lost. Not just the battle, everything. My empire, my power, my future. Europe had finally defeated Napoleon Bonaparte. I spent my final years in exile on St. Helena, far from France, far from power. I died there in 1821. But my story didn't end. Military academies still study my campaigns. Governments still use legal principles inspired by my reforms. Historians still debate my legacy. Was I a hero, a tyrant, a genius, a warning? Perhaps I was all of them. The receipt? I rose from an overlooked outsider to become the ruler of Europe. They still remember my name. I am Napoleon Bonaparte.
History remembers the victories, the defeats, but the receipt reminds us what remains. I'm Key. This has been Receipts from the Past. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.